Big Cat TV here. We got
Whoa,
Mr. Andy taking a drink.
yeah, you didn't even tell me. All right, what do we got here? Slipknot?
We got Slipknot, Duality.
Second Slipknot song, I think, right?
Nope, first.
I mean, we've never done Slipknot before?
Not yet.
Oh, a lot of requests for them. All right, looking forward to it. We're going to stop and start. It looks like we're not even at the start yet. Let's back it up here.
I push my fingers into my eyes. It's the only thing that slowly stops the ache. But it's made of all the things I have to take. Jesus never lands. It works its way inside. If the pain goes on.
So some of the things that I've done in my life, I've dealt with some people that are pretty experienced some pretty intense psychological pain. And I went in to visit this guy in the jail, and on his forehead, like up here, he had this, it was just a big line. It was like, and all his hair was missing from the front of his head, kind of like mine, but he had hair there previous. I said, what is going on? He says, I know, I'm just freaking out in here, and I started scratching, just digging into my forehead.
When I worked at a summer place, we had a gentleman that used to pull out his eyelashes.
That's pretty common. Yeah. Trichomoniasis, I think that's called. That's an actual condition. I used to like to eat paper.
I believe it.
Never paint. Paper. White paper.
Back together, or separate the skin from bone. Leave me all the pieces, then you can leave me alone. Tell me the reality is better than the dream, but I found out the hard way. Nothing is what it takes. I push my fingers into my eyes. It's the only thing that slowly stops the ache. But it's made of all the things I have to take.
This is the universal sign for stop the song a second. I was just thinking, so when I came into kind of the counseling treatment field, self-harm, or at least my awareness of self-harm, and self-harm as distinct from suicide. Okay. It used to be people cut their wrists because they wanted to kill themselves, or at least that's what people thought. Well, then it became more of a way to escape pain or deal with psychological pain, and it actually is a coping mechanism for a lot of people. But there's a story in the Old Testament of the Bible about prophets of this god called Baal, so demonic god, and they end up cutting themselves to try to get the attention of the gods. So there's a long history, thousands of years of history of people trying to contact the supernatural by engaging in behaviors that harm themselves. Fascinating thing to think about.
I didn't know that, yeah.
All right. You know what's interesting? So here's what's interesting about insanity, or let me just try to kind of go with what the thought they're talking about is. So sometimes you have a thought or a series of thoughts, and there's some sort of logical problem in one of the first thoughts, and it takes you off into a really crazy direction. Like something that can be a recurring thought for me is, okay, did I put my car in park? Okay, no, I didn't put it in park. It's still in neutral. And I parked on a hill. So why didn't it start rolling when I got out? Mm-hmm. Well, there was a rock or a stone in the way. So I'm going to go outside and my car is going to be in the ditch, or it's going to have run over a little child or something like that. And this is kind of the way a lot of people's thought patterns, this would be correlated with something like anxiety, or it's the inability to cut your thought pattern off. And you see this a lot in people with obsessive compulsion. Like, we light candles at the church during the service, and it's pretty common that I'll have this thought in my mind that we forgot to put the candles out. And I'm going to look out over the horizon, because from my house I could see the church. I'm going to look over the horizon and see smoke, and it's going to be the church burning down. Yeah. So those kinds of things, those kinds of anxieties. Anyway, what the point is, like, you can have insane thoughts, out of control thoughts, without being insane.
Yeah.
And that's why people say, am I going crazy? No, you're not going crazy. You've got a section of thought here that's going off the rails a little bit because of a natural fear, a natural anxiety. I mean, it would be a big deal if the church burned down. It would be a big deal if your car was, in neutral. It's just a natural response, and your body's kind of preparing itself for that. All right. I like the music better than some of the Avenged Sevenfold. I like the driving nature of the music. It got me a little bit more into it.
Becoming a fan, guys.
Nah. So I was thinking about there's this book. It's called Confessions of an Opium Addict, and it's somebody who got addicted to opium, or kind of in the heroin vein. But I think it was around the 1850s, mid-1800s sort of thing. But the way he described it is, he said it felt like there were rats gnawing at the inside of his stomach lining. And I imagine, I don't know anything about this band. I don't know whether they struggle with addiction or that sort of thing, but it reminds me of people that are struggling with addiction, and sometimes that addiction, somehow, I guess, with your brain chemistry, it creates very, very uncomfortable feelings in your brain to be in the absence of those chemicals. And so I'm kind of wondering if some of this song might not be inspired by that, because I can see a process here by which, okay, people deal with pain in all different ways, but some people deal with pain by adding chemicals to the mix, right? And eventually it takes chemicals, whether it be alcohol, marijuana, whatever, you pick the substance, even a prescription medication, but eventually, just to get back to the baseline level, you have to add that substance, and then you go over the top. Pretty soon, the absence of that substance makes for an extreme experience, and perhaps this is where some of this music is generated from. Slipknot, and it was called Duality.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even pick up on that theme. All right, we'll be back, guys. Big Cat TV, like, subscribe, follow. Thanks for watching.